Welcome back to another episode of Building the Pride. I'm your host, Drew, and I have, for some reason, incredible lighting in here today. Not sure what that's about, but feels excellent. So, let me just update our banner here, because we don't have to say from Arizona anymore. We can just shorten it to Lions' new offensive coordinator. What? And I don't mean Mike Petzing or Drew Petzing. I mean Mike Kafka. He was the interim head coach of the New York Giants after they fired Brian Daboll. He had some success this year, especially toward the. Right. It's weird, gross. Especially towards the end of the year, and that team started to look much more, let's say, feisty, and willing to go out there and just work. They have some building blocks on the Giants. They have a good defensive line. They have Jackson Dart appears to have been good enough to warrant a second season. Cam Scatabo, Malik Neighbors should be coming back from injury. They have a high draft pick. I believe they picked 5th this year. And there was some rumors that Mike Kafka might be in the running for their permanent head coaching position, but did not get that. Obviously, they went with John Harbaugh. So he was let go. And then there was a lot of talk that he might be up for a couple of head coaching jobs, maybe some of the lesser teams in the NFL looking for that young, innovative offensive mind. Certainly up for a lot of offensive coordinator positions. And even though we still have the Raiders job, I think we only have the Raiders job still open in the NFL. He decided to, instead of taking an offensive coordinator position, he's going to take a quote unquote high-ranking position with the Detroit Lions. We don't know what that means. He's not the offensive coordinator. Drew Petzing is. So is he the offensive pass game coordinator? Does he hold different roles, different responsibilities? Is he going to be an assistant head coach? We don't have a ton of clarity on what his role is right now. And for a team in Detroit that I think prioritized Petzing in a way, and for a reason, because he is going to more than likely stick in Detroit, Kafka feels like the kind of guy that will be right back in the coaching carousel this time next year. So it feels strange that they were like, we won't bring in Mike McDaniel as a one and done offensive coordinator kind of person, but we will bring in Drew Petzing, and then like half of Mike McDaniel, in the sense that like Mike Kafka might be right back into the carousel next season, but we want a guy that's going to call plays for the foreseeable future. Very strange. I made an argument when they didn't hire Mike McDaniel that you should get as many like genius level thinkers in the building and figure out a way to make it work. So I don't think that I can be critical of the Kafka hire, but I don't really, without knowing more about his role, I don't really know how to assess it. So, but I'm glad he's in the building. I also wonder if like he's going to be the passing game coordinator, what that really means, because Dan Campbell seems to have a very clear vision of what he wants this offense to be. And he hired Petzing, I think, to bring him in to handle, at the very least, the run game portion of the offense that he envisions. And then, so do you need Kafka to do the pass game stuff? Like, and if that's the case, is that an indictment of Petzing? Is it something to the effect of like, oh yeah, no, Petzing's gonna call the running game, and then I have questions about what Hank Fraley's role is, or what about Scotty Montgomery? What is Scotty Montgomery's role on this team now that you have hired two other people into roles that I have to assume supersede his when it comes to the offense? So we have a lot of cooks in the kitchen, I think, right now. And I just wonder how it's going to work out. Hopefully it works out really, really well. There is another thing that I wanted to talk about today. Let's see if I can bring this up. ESPN and the NFL Network have made a deal, and I'm going to read this from ESPN News Services from their article yesterday. ESPN purchase of the NFL Network and other league digital assets has been finalized after government regulators approved the transaction. So we have seen in the last year a flurry of media deals. Like, I believe that CBS had a media deal that they needed like FCC approval for. Netflix was rumored to buy Warner Brothers, and then somebody else came in and wanted to buy Warner Brothers, and now that whole thing has gone back and forth. And like and now ESPN, which is owned by Disney, has purchased effectively like the video half of the NFL. And this feels like a very odd thing for the NFL to let go of, in my opinion. Very, very weird. But what we're seeing here in media is with this ESPN deal, I think now is like, it's become very clear, like huge corporations are buying up as many media distribution outlets as they can get their hands on. So let's continue on with this article just real quick. The NFL and ESPN officially announced the closing of the deal Saturday night after the Justice Department and other non-U.S. antitrust authorities completed their reviews. ESPN acquired NFL Network, NFL Fantasy, and the rights to distribute the Red Zone channel to cable and satellite operators, and the league will get a 10% equity stake in ESPN. So Disney was like, hey, Disney was like, hey, NFL, we want your media section. And then the NFL was like, cool, we want 10% of ESPN. And they were like, trade. So we're good. So now ESPN effectively owns a majority stake on like NFL fantasy sports, right? So that's cool. Sports betting, they launched their own sports betting app last year. I think it's called ESPN Bet. And now they're able to distribute NFL media stuff. So like, here's my problem is that I have been trying to get away from ESPN media for years now. I have like matriculated to places like PFF, the NFL Network, to get away from ESPN, and they are chasing me down, right? They are eliminating where I can watch my favorite thing about the NFL, which is the draft. I am going to have to go to somebody like CBS or NBC, or if like maybe if the Athletic is covering it, but like what differentiates a group like Pro Football Focus and the Athletic, and then a media company like ESPN, when it comes to covering the NFL draft, is like, it's like okay, so like when they're announcing like, oh, the Saints might be looking at this player, and then you can get highlights of their college tape. Like The Athletic and Pro Football Focus can't do that, but like ESPN can, and now they're eating up all the other people who can compete with them in certain ways across the media landscape, and that is crazy. I mean, I think it's a problem when there are monopolies, but that's fine. So anyways, this deal is crazy. So NFL Network, which has nearly 50 million subscribers, will be included in ESPN's direct-to-consumer product, which will be launched in August, right before the season starts. NFL Red Zone will be distributed by ESPN to cable and satellite operators. However, the NFL will continue to own, operate, and produce the channel and retain the rights to distribute the channel digitally. So I can watch NFL Red Zone through an app, but I can't watch it on cable. All right. ESPN also gets the rights to the Red Zone brand, meaning Red Zone channels for college football, basketball, or other sports could be coming in the future, and they will. Fantasy football, NFL fantasy football will merge with ESPN fantasy football, giving ESPN the official fantasy football game of the league. So if you want, like, I don't know if it matters to people who really love fantasy football, but if you want to be like, I do fantasy football through like the quote unquote official fantasy channels, then you have to go to them. Which I don't know if that matters at all to anybody, but probably some people. The NFL Network will air 7 games per season. 4 of ESPN's games, including some of that are in overlapping windows on Monday nights, will move to NFL Network. ESPN will license 3 additional games that will be carried on NFL Network. The NFL has taken back the rights to 4 international games, which is expected to they are going to put up for bid. The league has discussed each of its 32 games playing teams at least playing 1 international game per season if the schedule expands to 18 regular games. And that's the push right there that's going to get an 18-game season, is that the NFL wants to break into larger markets across the world. And we've seen games being played in London now for a long time. There's games in Mexico City. There was a game in Berlin. I wouldn't be surprised if it starts to go really well that you could see games in Paris, in Spain, Rome. Like they want Western Europe. They want Central America. I wouldn't be surprised if we even got like a game like maybe in Tokyo or something at some point. That Tokyo, I believe, is the largest city like per population density on Earth. Mexico City is obviously an extremely large city. They want eyes on American football in the world's largest market. So you're bringing the game to where the people live, right? Makes sense. The league will continue to own NFL Films, NFL Plus, which is what I have, NFL.com, the official websites for all 32 teams, the NFL Podcast Network, and NFL Fast Channel, a free ad-supported streaming channel. Big news. I do think we were going to see legit changes to the way that we view and we incorporate football on a week-to-week basis. I've always really liked the way that CBS has covered football. I'll probably just move over to CBS, and if the Lions are on Fox, that's great, but maybe I'll just continue to watch their games through NFL Plus. So that's a bummer. That's a real bummer. Okay, so I want to talk a little bit about I like the NFL draft, and I tried to get Mike to do the show today, but Mike was all like, I'm traveling, I have to go to Washington DC, and I was like, well, just don't go to Washington DC, just do the show. And then he was like, no, I have to do it for work, and I was like, your job is the worst. So I'm going to put us into a mock draft here real quickly, and then we can start to talk about like how the team is going to address some of these situations they find themselves in. So I put up a post on Pride of Detroit, and if you're not over at Pride of Detroit, I really recommend it. It's an excellent site run by people I still think are journalists. I enjoy it over there. Draft Nerds Unite. Hey, Detroit family, I good to see you, buddy. Yes, I am the definition of a draft nerd. I wish I've actually considered like going back to school and getting like taking classes in like database management so I can start to like build out a database so I can do some of the things that I want to do with the draft, but that's a pretty big time and money investment. Okay, so I put up a post on the Pride of Detroit that said that, and it doesn't seem like this is going to be too feasible, that I would like the Lions to draft Sonny Styles, outside linebacker from Ohio State. So hear me out. It is very clear to me that the off-ball linebacker is not the greatest need on the Detroit Lions roster. So why do I want this kid? Well, let's take a look at him before we jump into the draft here. Might take me a second. Big board 2026. Okay, I'll bring up his profile, and now I'll switch what I'm sharing. Stop sharing that. Share this other thing instead. Go back to the thing, share the screen. Okay, so here we go. This is his 2025 PFF player profile. He had an 88.5 grade, played in all their games, 650 snaps. Let's round down a little bit. Not much of a pass rusher. Excellent in run defense. Excellent in coverage. He had one credited missed tackle, I believe, all season, and that was in their playoff game. It's not showing me the missed tackle stuff, unfortunately. Oh, missed tackles 2. So he had 2 missed tackles basically in the playoff run at the end of the college football season. In the regular season, he did not have a credited missed tackle. He was perfect. And so I will take 0 missed tackles across 650 defensive snaps any day of the week. That's excellent. So why do I want this kid? Okay, well, number one, Alex Anzalone is an unrestricted free agent at the end of the season. The Lions and Alex Anzalone heading into this current season had a slight contract dispute. And I say slight because he caved for like $25,000 in guarantees. It was nothing. In terms of contract disputes, it was nothing. It was like, here's a nickel, kid, like go get yourself a soda. He's been in Detroit for, I think this whole regime, 5 years. He is I think just turned 30 or 31. I'll double check. You know, to be honest, I don't think that he's going to be on the list because OTC has updated their rosters for 2026, and he might have a void year on it. Yep, there it is. He is 31 currently, so I would guess by the time that the season started, he'd be 32. Okay, so not crazy, but like for the Lions roster, he is certainly like a veteran, right? I imagine what will happen is Detroit will say, go ahead and see if there is a market for your services out there. And they have a price point that the Lions feel comfortable giving to a will linebacker. And I think if Alex Anzalone tests free agency and finds that there is not a market, he will come back to Detroit on a reduced contract or something akin to what he made this year, $7.5 million. if he gets an offer, say like 8 through 10 million from somebody like the Jets or from Tennessee, I could see him leaving because he's trying to maximize the latter third of his career, right? If that's the case, you have a situation at will linebacker. I don't know that Rodrigo is ready to step up into that role. I think the injury really derailed his ability to go into this upcoming season as somebody the Lions felt confident in being their starting will linebacker. Could change. I mean, he might recover fully from his ACL and look good and earn the rights, even if they do bring in like a Sonny Styles or somebody else, like in a day 2 pick or what have you. But Sonny Styles, I think, has the ability to be one of the best linebackers in the NFL. He is the perfect, if you had to design an off-ball linebacker for the modern NFL, it is Sonny Styles. He is the textbook definition of what you are looking for. He's good in run defense. He's good in coverage. He doesn't miss tackles. He is long. He is fast. He is a converted safety who bulked up to be 6'5", 243. If you want to know like a player on the Lions who he compares to, like physically, it's Jack Campbell. Like if you like Jack Campbell, you should like Sonny Styles because they're physically like the same size. Jack's probably a little bit bigger now that he's been in the league for like 3 years, but these two guys playing next to each other, I think, gives the Lions the ability to have a top 5, probably a top 3 linebacking core in the NFL. And as much as I have railed on positional value, like I still think that if you have the ability to get a top 3 position group, almost any position group, that you are leveraging talent in a positive way. And Jack's about ready to get extended. You could bring this guy in and pair them up on a rookie deal and just start, I think, running wild. And if the Lions seem to like let the draft come to them, which I think is weird because Brad trades up so often, especially recently, that it doesn't necessarily feel like they're letting the draft come to them. But I also don't think that they have a lot of the players on their board to be drafted. I think that they enter the draft with certain players that they say, we like this guy, he's on our board, and these other guys, they're not on our board. Like Jalen Carter, a couple of years ago, I think he was off their board, right? So he wasn't an option for them, and that's why they elected to trade out of that number 6 spot. So my whole thing comes down to this guy's uber talented. He's fast. I think that he's an upgrade over Alex Anzalone day 1. Certainly by the second season, I think that he's a upgrade. And then for however long that he is in Detroit, I think that he can push the ceiling of the defense higher through his talent. And hasn't been hurt, played a lot, excellent at the things you need to be excellent at, played for an elite program in Ohio State. I have a hard time. I can't find a reason to not want to draft this kid other than we don't need a linebacker. Well, you might need a linebacker. What are you going to do with Alex Anzalone? So, yeah. So I think that so I think that that's something. And I even talked to Mike. I was like, I would trade up a couple of spots for the guy if he was still on the board. I think he's that good. But let's jump into an actual mock draft, and we'll kind of talk about what the Lions might do here. So all of the resources thus far, oops, I haven't shared the screen. All of the resources thus far, there he goes, 11. So he's off the board, right? But that's where I think you need to trade up to, is like 11 from, you have to get in front of Dallas, basically. Let's get some. I'm going to have to make this smaller. Ah, there we go. Okay, so we've got Keldrick Falk, Caleb Banks, Spencer Fano, Denzel Boston, Caden McDonald, Vega Ione, TJ Parker, Kenyon Sadiq, Caden Proctor, I think. I'm going to keep picking Caden Proctor here. 6'7", 366. He's absolutely enormous. He has improved every year that he's in college. He gave up a lot of sacks in year one, 3 in 2024, and even less this year in more games. I think that he's enormous, which the Lions have really trended towards with their offensive linemen. They like physically large, move you off the ball linemen. And then if you happen to be ultra athletic like Penei Sewell, that's a great upside. You can do more things with him. But Penei Sewell primarily moves dudes off the ball, and this guy can do the same thing. We don't know what Taylor Decker might be considering. Does he want to retire? What's his medical prognosis? If he does decide to retire, it's a loss. So we've already lost Dan Skipper, who's retired, which means that this is the year that Giovanni. I think this is a make or break year for Giovanni Manu. I think that you give him all of the Dan Skipper snaps as the 6th offensive lineman, offensive tackle 3, and you see what happens with him. I think the ceiling for Giovanni Manu is Dan Skipper. So let's see if he can do it. And then you can make a decision during Manu's rookie contract whether or not you're going to keep him on the roster past that. I would hesitate to guess that they will not, but you got to start figuring that out. I like Proctor if Decker stays and renegotiates closer to maybe $11 million. Proctor being that size at 20 years old, they had him run a workout to run Wildcat. Yeah. So I've heard that like weight and foot speed are potential issues with Proctor, but at the same time, Alabama is like running screenplays for him, and he can run the Wildcat. Well, so I would disagree. Like I was having this conversation with a coworker the other day, and he echoed something similar. Like, can you play a rookie left tackle right away? And I'm like, well, if you don't, and he plays guard or something, like, yeah, you're probably going to shorten his learning curve at tackle a little bit, but then won't 6 games of playing left tackle do the same thing? And like, where else is he going to play? Like the only place he would be able to play on the offensive line is if you committed to moving Tate to center, then you could play Proctor at guard, right? And I just hate the idea of using a first round pick on a guard, even if it's for a year. And then you're talking like, okay, now you asked him to learn all these things to be a guard. He's still starting. Now switch positions and do it from the, arguably the most difficult position on the offensive line. To me, I would just start him at left tackle, and yeah, he's gonna get beat a couple of times when he's a rookie, but I think we see it time and time again. Josh Connerly is a good example this year. He was a left tackle, I believe, at Oregon. He gets drafted by Washington. They play him at right tackle, so he's got a position change to deal with. He was really, really bad in the first half of the season, and by the second half of the season, he cleaned things up, gotten used to it, played a lot better. I think you want something similar for Proctor. If Proctor is on the board when the Lions pick, even if they make a trade, I would be hard-pressed to not draft him. I just think that he fits too many boxes for what the Lions are looking for in their offensive tackles, or just linemen in general. And the Lions were worse than they thought they were going to be this year, right? Which means you're probably not drafting this high. So I don't know in the future. So I don't know, getting a guy like this at 17, which is, I still don't think is a lock after we go through like the combine and all the draft prep. If he's there and you don't take him, I'm going to really start questioning Brad Holmes. And like, I do not want Penei Sewell to be moved to the left side. I think that he's a Hall of Fame right tackle if you just leave him where he is. And like, even if he's like a really good, or like even just a great left tackle, like it's a downgrade because he's a Hall of Fame. He's a Hall of Famer if he's a right tackle. He's just tearing people apart. So we're going to do 2 mocks today. I'm going to do, what I quote unquote hope they do. And then I'm going to do one where I kind of will like, this would be interesting if they did this. So we've got center and potentially tackle problems. With Skipper retiring, you do get to basically draft, I would say, any offensive lineman up and down the line that you want to, in order to just fill the depth or whatever on the offensive line. So that's good. Okay, so okay, let's take a look at this. So Zion Young went down to the Senior Bowl. 6'5", 260. Okay. Had a really good year, 8 sacks. Not bad. Now, the reason I bring up sacks is not because I think sacks are the best indicator of whether or not a defensive lineman is like causing the quarterback problems. Oh, I want to talk about the dude from Texas Tech here in a second. But what kind of has proven out over like the last 20 years or so is that if you don't get sacks in college, you do not get sacks in the NFL. So if you want a guy that like quote unquote gets home, you need to draft a guy that's shown the ability to get home. And so if we look at the college season and like, okay, 8 sacks in 13 games, let's just round this up to like 16 games. He gets a sack every other game, right? So in the NFL, he's like an 8, 9, 10 sack guy. At the top of the second round, that's really not that bad, and also pretty stout against the run, good win rate, good run stop rate. He is an outside the tackle lineup, guy that lines up 6'5", 262. He is a senior. So I do think that he fits kind of nicely into the window age-wise that the Lions have going. This kid has been an absolute beast. 6'4", 330. Lee Hunter from Texas Tech. He gets overshadowed by David Bailey, who was the pass rush specialist for the Red Raiders this year. But this guy has just been awesome all season. So primarily between A and B gaps, good run stuff rate. Lions would like that. They would love his size, 6'4", 330. And he gives you a little bit of juice as a pass rusher. Like, this is the kind of guy that I wish that Tyleik Williams turns out to be. But I mean, at this point, like, I'm almost wondering if like you ask Tyleik Williams, like, can you lose 10 or 15 pounds and we'll play you at edge, and you can be the next big edge and like just let Josh Paschal walk into free agency. The Tyleik Williams pick seemed like, well, we need somebody to play 3-tech this year, and we didn't find somebody in free agency for our price tag, so we'll just draft one, Keontae Scott. This is the guy that I'm going to pick. And the reason I'm doing so is he's got great size. I believe 6 foot 195, so a little bit bigger. Maybe I was wrong about that. He can play man. You don't see a lot of guys that can play man. He's more of a zone guy than he is a man coverage guy, but they're pretty close. Willing in the run game, and I think that's the thing that the Lions are really going to like. Passer rating was the best this year that it has been at any point, and I think that this is a slot-only player. So Amik Robertson, his contract is up. I think he is, I believe, 27. And if he gets like one more relatively good-sized contract, that would probably be the last one in his career, that he is going to get. So I'm looking to see if he's still on. He's not. Let's see. So the Lions currently have 52 guys on their active roster. So we're going to balloon that up to 90 here in a little bit. But like, if you replaced Amik Robertson with Keontae Scott, it'd be year 2 of DJ Reed, year 3 of Terrion Arnold, Keontae Scott. I think that's pretty good, and like you still have Ennis Rakestraw who could come back healthy, and challenge for like maybe he's your starting nickel, maybe he is your primary backup on the outside. Maybe you move him to free safety. There's things that you can do with Ennis Rakestraw just as like a depth play. You need trenches in the first 2 rounds and assumed it was unnegotiable. Well, okay, so we haven't ruled out. I haven't hit the draft button yet. So let's do that. Let's take your suggestion. Let's take Zion Young to play across from Aiden Hutchinson. So then you have a defensive line that looks something like Aiden Hutchinson, hopefully Aleem McNeil all the way back. You either re-sign DJ Reader, who was an unrestricted free agent, or you let Tyleik Williams play in that spot, right? So it's some combination of Reader, Williams, and then Zion Young starts opposite Aiden Hutchinson, and you let Marcus Davenport walk into free agency, and that's pretty exciting as far as I am concerned. But like, so let me just ask you this: how many years in a row have we gone into a draft basically saying like, we need to add a piece to the offensive line, we need to add a piece to the defensive line, right? You don't think Reader's a re-sign, and I could have been talked into Lee Hunter there too. If you told me, so like obviously we have not done free agency yet. If you told me that DJ Reader will not be back on the Lions next season, I think that I would be looking for some kind of true defensive tackle. I don't know. Tyleik Williams started off, then Aleem McNeil came back, and they slashed his snaps to the point where I was just like, I don't know that he's being able to learn what he needs to learn. Okay. So we've taken a tackle, we've taken an edge, center, corner, which I do not agree that cornerback is a quote unquote need for this team. I think that safety is. Both of our safeties were hurt. Excuse me. All right, since we're talking about the line, let's take a look at some more line. Here's DJ Campbell. He is a guard, from Texas, 6'3", 321. So he meets the height, weight, speed criteria. Run blocking, pretty good. Pass blocking, pretty good. Really good as a zone guard. All right. Gap, not as good. So I believe that gap is called duo now, or that duo has evolved out of gap schemes. I don't know. I'm not an X's and O's guy. So if I'm wrong or right about that, if you guys could help me out and let me know, I would appreciate it. But if you hear the term duo, I look at this grade to see how well they would be doing at duo. I believe duo is where like the guard and center or guard and tackle come together to double team an opposing defensive lineman, and then one of those players releases almost immediately to go up to the second level and block a safety or a linebacker, and that's how that works. I don't know. This is the guy. I think that if you're not convinced that Miles Frazier can compete for a right guard position, which I think that he can, and you're moving Tate Ratledge to center, which I don't think that you should, that this guy could be a piece on the offensive line. The other guy that I think you might want to look at is this guy, Keelan Rutledge. Went to Georgia Tech. All they do at Georgia Tech is run the ball. 6'4", 330. Once again, falls into the bucket. Run block grade, good. Pass block grade, good. Zone gap, little bit of difference, pretty much the same. True pass set, pass blocking grade, 84. That's really, really good. Has played a bunch of games. He hasn't given up a lot of sacks. He has played. Both these guys have played right guard exclusively in college, and that's the position that's going to need someone there to replace them. You're either moving Ratledge out and replacing him with Frazier, or you're moving Ratledge out to center, and then you're drafting one of these two guys to be your starter. Let's see. I also ride with duo equals gap and similar DL equal. Yeah. When people say that OGs are better than OTs this year, his name comes up. Whose name? DJ Williams or Keelan Rutledge? I've heard Rutledge a couple of times. So like to me, if the Lions are going, so like, and if you're talking about bringing in Drew Petzing, okay, thank you. If you're talking about bringing in Drew Petzing and like trying to get back to like more of a power explosive running game, I think that they go real heavy into offensive line assets, and this is something that like, yeah, maybe it's not awesome this year, but maybe it's year 2, they're a top 2 running team in the NFL, or whatever. I just don't, I don't know. So we're going to take Rutledge there. Ugh. All right, let's see what we got here. Trey Moore, Pat Coogan, Malachi Lawrence. I'm not in love with any of this. Okay, this kid, Bishop Fitzgerald. This is, if Kirby Joseph is not quote unquote right to start the season, like this guy, I think could help out. He doesn't have great size, 5'11", 205. He's just a little short. He's a coverage safety, right? So on the Lions, Branch is your bring him into the box safety. Kirby is your center fielder. This guy is a center fielder, right? So when Branch went down, they moved Avonte Maddox to safety. I wonder if he is a starter for us next year, just on like a 1-year basis, or do you sign another guy? Like safety is the position that makes it to free agency. And do you bring in another rookie and then you have depth and a special teamer if Kirby Joseph is fine and you've got somebody that can start if he needs more time. Either way, like, this is not great. I do think that one position that the Lions are going to look at quite heavily, both in the free agency and the draft, is tight end. I think that they are the rumor is that they are going to be a more 13 personnel oriented group. If that's the case, then I do think that they're going to want another run blocking tight end in this class somewhere, even like a UDFA. Like the guy that I think fits for them is the either Max Clare from Ohio State or his what quote unquote backup. The guy's name is Kaz Merrick. I haven't even seen him on PFF's board. Yeah, I guess it's a possibility that he's not coming out in the draft, but like if he is in the draft, I would be looking at using a day 3 pick on that kid because he's big, he run blocks well, and the Lions were effectively playing 3 third-string tight ends at the end of last year. Sam Laporta has a fully herniated disc in his neck, and all right, we'll just take this kid. 6'4", 250, good run blocker. Welcome to Detroit, Nate Berkshire. Neat. If we don't leave this draft UDFA with any tight ends, then St. Brown is right, and I don't know ball. That's the most injured empty room on the roster. We're right back into it here. Don't know. Oh, we'll take this kid, Hemby. The reason I took a running back right there is because Craig Reynolds is on the Patriots roster. Hope he wins the Super Bowl. I'll be rooting for Seattle, but if he wins, great. Then that means they have Jacob Salyers, who was the kick returner this year, and then somebody else. I think you could add a rookie to that room pretty easily. And like Hemby had a really nice year for Indiana, very clearly. I don't think I've taken a linebacker. All right, welcome to Detroit, Bryce Bocher. I've heard your name several times in Big Ten play, but like even so, the 13 personnel thing is interesting, but I think that Petzing he only called plays from a 13 personnel grouping like 13% of the time at like over a season's worth of a season sample size at most. So I just like this kid, Eli Heinrich. I mean, he's not big. He's 6 foot 200, but like probably a decent special teamer. Put him in at like weird position groups to like, oh, you're a receiving threat and a running threat, and you know what you're doing because Navy does a ton of that. All right, so after this draft, which PFF's going to rake me over the coals for, I'm gonna do something that is inspired by mathematics, which is to say that there's this. I've referenced it several times. There is this mathematical study that was done 15 or 20 years ago called the Loser's Curse. Very simply, what it said is that if you're looking for the best combination of price and talent in the NFL draft, you want to be picking somewhere between like 20, like what is it, 45 and 60 or 25 and 45, something like that. And I'll move this around right here. So we got, they hated it, B+, right? So they liked the Zion Young pick, but they said that we needed a tackle. They didn't like the tackle that we took. They didn't like the fact that we drafted guard, safety, tight end. Like this mock draft simulator is just not updated to effectively take advantage of what the Lions actually need as their roster evolves. So let me do another one here. Oh, so the loser's curse basically said, if you're not the worst thing that you can be in the NFL is average. And the reason that they said that is because if you are really bad, then you have access to elite talent. And if you are really good, you don't need elite talent. You have that. What you need is cost savings to keep your elite talent on the team as long as possible. And the worst thing that you can do is to be average, where you are paying the most amount of money for not the high-end elite talent and not as the CBA exists, the money falls off of a cliff. You are paying the most for the quote-unquote least amount of talent in that window. And so what they recommended was that you draft in the second round basically as much as you possibly can. And basically you want to be picking at the back end of the first round to the middle of the second round. So I want to do a draft where I pick 3 times in the second round to see what that looks like. So what we are going to do is we are going to go into this draft, 7 rounds, and we are going to see if we are offered a pick at pick 17. A trade. We are offered a trade at pick 17. If Sonny Styles is on the board, I'm just going to draft him. Didn't make it out of the top 10. Okay. Checking 2 trades. Let's see what we're offering. So the Raiders are offering to come up. They are saying we want to trade back into the first round for somebody. So let's look to see who is on the board here. So it's the same group that we had when we did our first draft. So if we said, all right, Raiders, I want pick 67 and I want your first rounder next year, and I will give you pick 17. They are going to do this trade. So if I say I want your third, we can get a ton of it. So I want their third rounder this year. Can I get a 2 next year? Can I get a 3 next year? All right, so we're going to do this. We're going to say I want, they won't do that. Now I want your 2. Okay, let's do this. So I'm gonna say I'm gonna trade you the 17th pick. I want the 36th pick. I want your second round pick this year. I want your second round pick next year. They said yes. Okay. They draft. Sure, go ahead. Okay, so now we don't pick until pick 36. That's 4 picks into the second. Ooh, that's a shame. Ooh, that's a real shame. Okay. Let's see who's on the board. Not a lot for us, right? So Monroe Freeling. 6'7", 315. Okay, a little smaller than Decker. He is a left tackle at Georgia. Excellent pass blocker. Now, I think that if you look at these grades and you said that's terrible, we don't want that. Like he doesn't offer us much in the run game. I would challenge you to take a look at what Taylor Decker grades out as right now over the last 2 or 3 seasons, because it looks like this. It looks like his pass block grade is much higher than his run blocking grade, and it doesn't need to be high because they traditionally run towards Penei Sewell, who's elite at it, right? So I'm going to take Freeling right here as the Lions left tackle of the future. Okay. And now I'm going to pause it right now. Okay. So let's try and trade up with the Chiefs. So I'm going to say I'm going to give you the 3rd round pick that we got from Vegas. And I will give you that's too good. 150. Can I even I guess it is 27 spots. If I gave you, what if I said I will give you the Raiders 2nd round pick, and so there's the difference between that is huge. So if I said this, that doesn't even get us on the board really. What if I said I don't really want to give that up. I will give you our 3rd rounder next year. Maybe the Chiefs are just not the team to trade with here. All right, Cincinnati. I want pick 41. I will give you pick 67. I will give you 2 3rd round picks for a 2nd round pick. Should get it done. I'm just going to force the trade. Okay. Oh, stop. I hate it when I do that. First of all, when you offer a trade, this button doesn't light up, and it drives me crazy. All right, so New Orleans. I want pick 42. I will give you pick 67, and I will give you a 3rd round pick next year. I'm going to force the trade. Oh, it does kind of light up. Okay. So here we are on the board. Eli Stowers, are you a run blocker? No, you are not. Oh, Colton Hood's fallen. Oh, Lee Hunter is here. Look at that. So we took Monroe Freeling. Let's take Lee Hunter in this one. He's a really good player. And now we have our pick at 50. Oh my God, can you imagine? What if I also kind of like Mock Draft Hero over PFF? Nice UI, and you can borrow PFF. We'll hang on. We'll check that out after we're done with this. Let's see. So we have drafted Monroe Freeling and Lee Hunter, right? Yeah. What if we draft Romello Height? What if we draft Romello Height and we were just like, you're the next James Houston, only this time we want you to be successful. Or we can take one of 2 nickel corners. If I say maximize right here, what does that do? Oh, it just does that. Shrink it. It's just my gross face. Let's take height. Let's try and go all in on our lines. All right, and then I'm going to just speed this way up. We still have we still have 6 picks. I'll take Katron Allen as like a 3rd string running back. I'll take Pat Coogan as a backup center. I'll take this Burkature kid again. I like the Jaden Kennedy cornerback thing. 5'11", 185 was good. Let's see, where did he play? He played primarily in the slot. Did we take a slot corner? No. So I'll take him to be like a slot corner player, maybe a backup. Take Bocher again. Why not? Just trying to get through this. And then Heidenreich. You won 2 awards. Well, you can't possibly know what that means to me. Okay, they loved Monroe Freeling. They did not like Hunter. They loved Hyatt. They loved Coogan. Jaden Kennedy, they really like. So we got an A- this time. So what do you feel about this? Like, what do you? Oh, so we picked up. So what do we walk away with? We traded down 19 spots. That's a big deal, especially in that place. We picked up. We traded the 3rd round pick to move back up into round 3. We picked up, and we traded a 3rd round pick in 2027. So basically, what we did was we moved down 19 spots. We picked up a 2nd round pick, and we flipped 3rd round picks. Right? No, is that what we did? No. So what we did was we traded down to 19. We improved our 3rd round pick to a 2nd round pick in 2027. Is that enough to get a draft that looks like this? It's early trenches with more draft capital. I love it. Okay, good. I'm glad you like it. Yeah. So, and like, I do think that trading like day 3 picks is very Brad Holmes. Like, what I would like to see Brad do is, can you burn enough 4th and 5th round picks to get back up into the 3rd, like late 3rd? That kind of thing. Okay, let's Sonny is agile, hostile, mobile, and big. I agree with all that, Brian. 100%. All right, let's take a look at this website that FanMan has told me about here. Well, did we take him in the top 50? We took him at 50. So right on the border. Mock draft hero. Let's look that up here. Okay, mock draft hero. Mock draft hero. Okay. Let's. Jack and Sonny could be very. That's what I'm saying, man. That's what I'm saying. All right, let's share my screen. Mock draft hero. Let's add it. There it is. Let's make it bigger. Let's make it bigger. There we go. I always yell at Mike. Okay, let's see. This must be the time between picks. Teams. Choose teams. Lions. Close. Let's start. Oh, do I have to? Oh no, I see what it's doing. Okay, all right. Let's see. I like this. Let's get rid of you. Ooh, I really like this place. This is a different board. Oh, this is neat. I like how they build. They have a lot of offensive tackle inside, interior offensive line, edge, cornerback. Yeah. So basically, yeah. Okay. Jeremiah Love is on the board. Just kidding. Peter Wood, Sadiq, Vega. Oh, Sonny Styles almost made it to us. I just think David Bailey's overrated. I mean, let's see. Trade. Offers. No. Oh, okay. I see what they're doing. Trade favors Detroit. Oh, wow. Hey, thanks for the suggestion, fan man. This is interesting. Saints receive 17 and 118. We receive 42, 170, and a 27 round one. So we're trading down 25 spots. 25 spots, and we're being paid in a first round pick from. So let's see, 25 and 17 is 42. Let's look at what this board has is like the 42nd player, Lee Hunter. Trinidad Chambliss is not just ridiculous. Okay, so let me ask you this, guys. If we took this trade and we traded down and you end up with Zion Williamson, no, that's wrong. The kid from Missouri, the edge rusher from Missouri, and New Orleans #1 pick, or I'm sorry, not #1 pick, first round pick next season. Is that enough to like bank? I mean, like, so like if, okay, so let me ask you this. If New Orleans has anything go wrong with it next year, that pick might be a top 3 pick in the draft, right? What if that pick turns into something like Dylan Stewart from South Carolina? And then you're able to put Dylan Stewart and Aiden Hutchinson together. Even if you take Zion Williamson or whatever his name is. Do you do that? I mean, I want to do it. Like, what if and I know this is not a big need by any stretch of the imagination, but what if that New Orleans pick becomes that Ohio State wide receiver? Right? What if you're Detroit? Jeremiah Smith, that's his name. What if you're Detroit and you've got whatever your pick is in this, what looks to be the best draft top to bottom that we're going to have in like 5 or 10 years next season. And there should be a bunch of quarterbacks coming out in that class. Not that Detroit's in the quarterback market, but it's going to push everybody else down, right? It pushes all the other non-quarterback positions lower in the draft, so other teams have access to the like elite players at other positions. Saints ain't shuffling around. I think they're good next year. What are the other 2 trade options, Minnesota and Chicago? All right, let's take a look. That's fine. You know what? Let's look at Minnesota. We would get they get the 17th pick. We get 18, 161, and 194. That seems like a lot of value for moving down 1 spot. So they are clearly targeting a player, right? And then this one is 17 and 118 for 25 and 57. I like all of these trades. I don't really give a shit about trading inside the division, like when it's not for a quarterback, right? So if Minnesota, I don't know that Ty Simpson's off the board in this mock or not. If Minnesota trades up for Ty Simpson in this class, do you care? And like Chicago's not trading up for a defense, like a quarterback, right? And if they're trading up for a defensive lineman, if there was an elite defensive lineman on the board right here, we would just take him, right? So, fan man, which one of these is your favorite? I mean, I want the New Orleans pick. I mean, that's the thing that calls to me. Like, I want an option for an elite player next year, right? Like, even if you don't, let's say their pick isn't like the 11th pick next year or something like that. You still have 2 picks in the first round, right? And like for as much as Brad Holmes likes to kind of like take chances or whatever in like in round 3 and later, like he's been pretty solid with his first round picks. I mean, we can all agree about that, right? If it like just speaking to me, like what is the 160th pick? Is that 5th round? So the Minnesota is basically saying, see, like I don't believe in gotta have it years. Like I just don't believe that. Like the NFL is, well, quote unquote, forever, right? Like it's just going to continue to keep going. Like, and the Detroit Lions are just going to continue to keep going, right? There's no like okay. So let me ask you this: like, what does a gotta have it year mean? Is it gotta have it because Dan Campbell's going to get fired if they don't make the playoffs? Because I don't think that that's true. I think that if the Lions have the same season next year that they do this year, Brad Holmes and Sheila are not firing Dan Campbell. I think that the narrative would be is, hey, this was year one of our new OC. We didn't get any worse, and we've got these resources now for 2027. Like, we're set up to be good for a long time. Like, I just don't know what so like when I hear gotta have it, I think of like teams that are like they've been told by ownership like you need to make the playoffs or win X number of games or you're done. So they just go all in on whatever long shots they possibly can take in order to hope that something hits so that they don't lose their jobs. I mean, but like, what are the odds? So the Lions are going to play a fourth place schedule this year, right? So they're playing the Giants, the Saints, and the Titans this year. And I guess that is true. It's a contract year. But like, I think that those, like, if Detroit didn't make any changes to his roster at all, those are 3 wins. And like, so if we're saying that, then like, in order to miss the play, let's say 9 wins doesn't make the playoffs, right? In the NFC North, then they would be 6-8 the rest of the way. I just don't think that that's possible. They beat Chicago twice this year. They split with Minnesota and they lost to Green Bay twice, right? Or did Minnesota sweep us? Did Minnesota sweep us? No, right? That we won the Bosmer game. We won the Bosmer game. Yeah. I just don't think it's possible. Let's look at these trades one more time. So we trade, what's 118? That's a 4th round pick. So we don't pick again in this class. Okay, so we get a 2nd round and a 5th round. We give up our 1st and 4th and we get their 1. God, I really like that. So we let's look at the board again. So are they trading up for Jeremiah Love? Where's Chicago here? Chicago. I mean, okay, so if we trade with New Orleans, we're looking at somebody like Zion Young. If you trade with Minnesota, you're looking at Caden Proctor. That's who I would be looking at. If you trade with Chicago, you're looking at somebody like Caleb Lomu. So let's see. And then we pick up a couple of late day. We get some day 3 picks. Let's take a look at in the 57 range. So let's see. This is we would get 2 seconds. We get a 1st round. I'm leaning towards Chicago's pick now. Who's at 57? Okay, Jake Golday. That might be an interesting player. There's some tackle options. Jacobs. I could be talked. What I think Chicago's pick is what I'm leaning toward here. Me neither, but I didn't have us 2-4 in the NFC North. That's true. Vikes got us twice. Oh, okay. All right, let's trade with Chicago just because I don't really know what to do. I got to tell you, though, I am like, my nipples are kind of hard for that New Orleans trade. I got to tell you. All right, let's just accept the Chicago trade. Who'd they trade up for? Peter Woods. Okay, that makes sense. Oh, there goes Lomu. Really? That doesn't make any sense. Oh, we could take Proctor still, TJ Parker, Akeem Messidor. What are you guys thinking? I think Messidor and Aiden Hutchinson is a really interesting pairing. Can we take Messidor and then see what offensive lineman issues? I'll make you a deal. If I can take Messidor right now, I'll draft 2 offensive linemen in round 2. Let's just do that. Let's pump this up a little bit. Yeah, that's better. Ooh, Zachariah Branch went in round 1. Hey, I'm going to be playing with this fucking mock draft simulator all day. Oh, it even takes out the positions that you've drafted in your later rounds. What an interesting. This is great. All right, 1 second. Okay. Let's see here. Offensive lineman. Oh, they've got Scott at 76. That's interesting. Let's see. Lee Hunter's right there. I'm just saying. Okay, so if you move Tate to center, then you could take a guard like Besantis, right? Which I don't know that I really. 6'5", 320. Okay, so that fits the bill. Physical interior offensive lineman prospect who earned all SEC honors. Excels as a run blocker, initial punch, lower body strength, clear running lane. Good balance and strong. Okay, what's he bad at? An apparent lower body injury. Okay. That's really not that bad of a review. What? Messidor, Lee Hunter, Lee McNeil. I really don't like the offensive lineman issues or lineman prospects right here. The guy that I kind of want to draft is Elijah Surratt, but that's just not anywhere approaching. I'd feel forced to take Lee Hunter here. Okay. Well, rats. And then we pick again just a few picks later, right? Yeah. (6'8", 309). Is he? Didn't he go back to? I thought he went back to Oregon this year. And Roll became a fixture and recognized all Big Ten media, second team, demonstrating an overall player in the portal. This is just awards. Not elite length and athletic traits with extensive starting experience, though evaluations no ongoing refinement needed and consistency in technique. Can't you say that about every? Can you not say that about every single offensive line prospect from college needs consistency and refinement of technique? They're in their early 20s. Like, I think I'm just going to take World here. So if they come out of the draft, they trade down in the first, and they go Akeem Messidor, Lee Hunter, and Isaiah World. Are we not jumping up and down? I mean, like, how are we not jumping up and down, I guess? We don't pick again for like 3 rounds. Caden Curry is in this draft? That's not true. That's not true. There's no way. I am shocked that Caden Curry is in this draft. I thought that he would be Ohio State's number one pass rusher in 2026. I love that guy. I feel so gross because I like so many of Ohio State's defensive players in this draft class. But like, okay, well, I can't draft them. Let's see. We took a tackle. We took an offensive and defensive tackle. We took a pass rusher. Interior offensive line, cornerback, safety, tight end. This board just does not fall well for us right now. Matt Golbin. Transition to center for 2025. Named Remington. Okay, Remington watch list solidified. Allowing zero interior pressure for much of the season. Played 800 snaps. Elite pass blocking technique. High football IQ. So, can you take this kid Gublin and not have to move Ratledge? So, note board near the top. That's a drop down of different evaluations. Maybe other lists are more accurate. This is the best simulator. This is fantastic. I think it makes so. My problem with PFF's board is that I think it deviates way too much from the consensus. And I think that okay, so maybe the consensus is never going to be 100% accurate, but we're already moving away from accuracy if you're just doing your version of the consensus, right? So I feel like this is closer to the consensus board than PFF. I'm going to take this Gulbin, sorry. And so I don't have to move Ratledge from right tackle. I'll be right back. Okay, I had to get some water. The cold knocked a bunch of crap in my pipes loose, and my pipes got all gummed up with rust and dirt and stuff. So I have a contractor coming out early next week to fix all that. So it's both freezing and I have no water in my house. Oh, that's so good. Okay. Dolan Bentley. He's like a receiving tight end. Let's draft the receiving tight end, and maybe we can have Laporta and Wright be they're both pretty good blockers. Oh, they do trades for other teams. Neat. Oh, this Cole Payton kid played in the Senior Bowl. Where can I find? We didn't take a corner. We didn't take anybody in the defensive backfield. Wow, there are just no DBs on the board right now. Hey, a long snapper. 2 long snappers. There's a corner. Yoink. All right. Oh, we're back on the board. Wow. Whee. I want a really fast wide receiver. I'll just take this kid from Baylor. Who knows what will happen with Raymond? I imagine that they have him back for no other reason than to return punts. Replacing Reader, Alex Anzalone, Davenport, or Lyman is just logical, hence Tyleek. I wonder what tight ends are going to be available in free agency this year. And then, like, are you going to be willing to spend to get them? Oh, this is the kid with dreads from Indiana. Oh, yeah. No, he's a Lion. Let's go. There we go. Oh, Max Bredesen, nice. Let's look at our team. Okay, so we drafted Akeem Mesidor, Lee Hunter, Isaiah World, Matt Gulbin, Dolan Bentley, Sierra Wright, Josh Cameron, and Riley Nowakowski. So we picked up edge, defensive line, offensive tackle, center with our first 4 picks, tight end, cornerback, wide receiver, tight end again. I think it holds pretty close to what. Oh, I like what they're like. Oh, if you drafted, like, if he's ranked 30th and you took him at 25, he's in red, right? And we got green value by, quote unquote, under drafting or whatever. This is interesting. Yeah, that's an interesting draft. So Reed isn't really his dead cap will keep him. Sorry if I got in late. Did you address the post from Monty? Monty came out with another post. Let me go to Twitter. I will not call it X. I will not do it. Let's see. David Montgomery. Yeah, that's him. New program is live. Well, I don't. Okay, so I guess where is the post, Brian? So I'm on. Okay, so let's get rid of this. Go away. So I'm on X. Is this on Instagram then? Let's see. Google David Montgomery Instagram. For the love of the game, peace sign. All I see is that he has a peace sign. This was 4 weeks ago. So yeah, Brian, you're gonna have to let me go to Pride of Detroit. If Montgomery put up something, it'll be I don't see anything on Pride of Detroit about Montgomery. So are we talking about like the exit interview that he had where he was basically expressed his frustration with his lack of use during the season? You gotta help me out here, Brian. Maybe Monty's a different person. Jukebox Hero. Yeah, so let's just take a look at while we're waiting for Brian to help us out here a little bit. Let's take a look at over the cap, and we'll take a look at the Lions 2026 cap. Now, please remember this fucking site is just jam packed full of ads, so just bear with me here. I got to get used to Spot Track. So what is this? This is 5 plus 114, 327. So the cap is supposed to go up by $22 million this year. The Lions finished the 2025 season with, I got to add it to the stage, $20.5 million of available rollover. So this says 8.7. So if you take away the 20.5, that's 8.2. They're 12. They're 11.7 over the cap or something right now. You're going to need 10 million for your practice squad, 10 million or 11 million for your rookie squad. So they got to free up something like 10 or 12 million bucks, and they're probably going to need 20 or 30 for like practice squad elevations throughout the year. So you're looking at like you're going to need to find 30 million bucks basically. They've got dead cap money from Hendon Hooker, Broderick Martin, Ahmad Hassanein, and Frank Ragnow. So that's really, really good. So finally, most of the big money, dead money, has fallen off the books. We'll see if they actually, they might cut other people. Like there would be, if Dan Skipper retired, he was an unrestricted free agent. If Decker retires, they will take some kind of dead, be like 9 million, right? But they'll save 11. So that's like your practice squad. So if Taylor Decker retires, you get to sign your practice squad for free. So, we're paying Jared Goff a bunch of money. He's going to be 21% of the cap. You have to guarantee $18 million of his 2027 salary by March 15th. So I wonder what the financial breakdown Brad is trying to keep the team at. It is obvious that we are now a restructure-oriented team. So does that make it easier or harder to predict from? Well, the way to combat restructuring is to flood your roster with rookie contracts, right? So the more the Lions need to extend, quote unquote, the pillars of the teams, the Aiden Hutchinsons, the Penei Sewells, the Lee McNeils, all the 2023 draft picks, so Branch, Laporta, Gibbs, they got to resign all those guys. The more that they do that, the more you need rookie contract contributors in the back third of your roster, right? So Brad has shown a remarkable resistance to changing how he does stuff. And I think that what would best serve him best is some kind of rule that was like, we're going to trade out of the first round every year and try and draft 2 times in the second round. And then if you ever have a draft where you have 2 picks in the draft, then you need to trade one of the picks, and just keep pushing and accruing value. And obviously there are not a lot of starters that the Lions need to worry themselves with right now, but they could very easily say, we're going to use the back third of our roster. Sorry, as my voice breaks, I'm 43 years old. They could very easily say, we're going to take the back third of our roster, and that's depth, that's developmental, that's guys we want on the roster for the most valuable thing about them is that they're special teamers and let's see if I move it like this. Yeah, okay. Good. They're special teamers, and the most valuable thing about them is that we have them on the roster for 4 years at like $1 million, right? How many picks do we get if we tell Mark Davis we like his haircut? I know. Can you get the number 1 pick? That'd be great. And I don't think that that would save the cap or anything, but you could then restructure fewer people, then you have to extend fewer or be forced into extending fewer people. You're just combating the way that the CBA bloats teams that do well. And the quote unquote problem with the Lions, if there is one, is that they are so ahead of schedule on their rebuild that they have so many guys that they're paying simultaneously. It would be different if you're just extending 1 or 2 guys, every season. But they're sometimes it's we're extending Aiden and Kirby, and then next year we have to extend 4 guys. So they're accelerating their and here's the other thing, and maybe people don't want to hear this, but if you had adhered to a positional value model to inform your draft positions and use that as a guiding principle, I don't know that they would have this kind of situation with the cap, not because they would be missing on players, but because, you would have pass rushers, pass protectors, on rookie contracts, and, they had St. Brown, JMO, Aiden, Penei Sewell, all on rookie contracts. Those guys all hit. And like the quote unquote time to strike is when all those guys are on rookie deals. And now none of them are. So now you need to go back to the well and try and restock with as many big contract guys that you can get on rookie deals. That's where the value in the NFL comes in, or you go quantity over quality and you trade down a bunch and you try and accumulate picks in future years. And, then the back end of so if the Lions, when they started this regime, they drafted a ton of guys, right? And so you needed veterans to teach the young guys how to be pros in the NFL. Well, now the young guys are becoming veterans and have been in the system long enough, 2, 3, 4 years, where it's like, okay, we know what to expect. We know how to conduct ourselves. We have been taught those things. We are able to now teach another generation of NFL players what to do. So what I would do is I would start to take, like, if you are 29 or 30 years old, you're too old to be on this team anymore. And maybe outside, maybe that's a rule for outside of Jared Goff. And, guys like Alex Anzalone, DJ Reader, Marcus Davenport, you let those guys test free agency, but you make a point like, we're going to come back with, maybe you use 2 day 3 picks, for depth on the edge. They have Ahmad Hassanein, who's recovering from his torn pec and like seems like a real worker, and like can he earn some snaps and like OTAs and mini camp and preseason, like where is he going to shake out on the depth chart, that kind of thing. But then like, what do you do with your first round pick? What do you do with your day 2 picks? Like that kind of thing. Like, and it's like, well, like convert them, like trade them for a pick out in future years and pick up some value, or trade down and try and get multiple picks in round 2 or round 3. And like, avoid the higher priced first round thing that the CBA dictates that a top 32 pick is, in the NFL draft, and so that's how you're going to keep the cap healthy. That's the only way that you can keep the cap healthy, outside of getting rid of some of the players on the team that are so expensive. And so like, if you look right now, Jared Goff is firmly into his extension. St. Brown is now firmly into his. McNeil, Sewell, Decker, we're paying DJ Reed $17 million. Aiden, we got the last year of Aiden's rookie deal coming up, and then it's guys like, Graham Glasgow, he might still retire. David Montgomery, we would lose money if he wasn't on the team this next year. But like, can you designate anybody for a post June 1 cut that you're going to save a lot of money? If you designate Taylor Decker as a post June 1 cut, you're going to save $18 million. Graham Glasgow would be $7 million. David Montgomery would be $6 million. That kind of thing. But so, I mean, like, there are ways that you can make a lot of savings on your cap, but the Lions have to break their pattern of behavior and actually do some of that stuff. Like, you have to designate post June 1 cuts, right? You have to trade down out of the first round and get multiple day 2 picks. Like, you have to, do business differently. And like, I think a lot of GMs in the NFL are afraid, rightly so, to start doing things differently based upon the shape of your roster. Because if you were successful and that's what your roster looks like after you being successful, how do you go back to your owner and say, now I'm going to change the way that I do business after we've had success, and like, but how do you break out of this like mediocre mentality that the Lions have been in for the last, I don't say 2 years, where it's like, yeah, all right, the Lions are good and like, darn near elite, but like, do they beat teams that are as good or better than they are? Debatable. Like, have they had a lot of success in the playoffs? I think they've won 2 playoff games, right? They've won 2 playoff games under this regime. Well, let's take a look at Decker. So Decker right now, if you just cut him at all before June 1st, you take 9.4 in dead money, you save 11.6. So technically you're saving $2 million, right? If you designate him a post June 1st cut, it's vastly different. You know? So let me read your comment again. The Decker 21 million has to be a retire cut renegotiation to 10 million. Well, I mean, like if you're Taylor Decker and you're coming back hurt, are you coming back? Like if you were hurt and you did my head saying that too. If you were hurt, Detroit fan man, and your boss said you're going to try and get healthy and come back to work, but we're only going to pay you half as much, would you come back? I mean, I wouldn't. I would look for another job, you know? So when I see you say that 21 million has to be a retire cut renegotiation of 10 million, that would be the Lions telling Taylor Decker, we don't want you on the team anymore. And if that's the case, then you just trade him if he wants to play. You don't cut him, you trade him. Because somebody out there is going to be like, yeah, we'll take the 10th best left tackle in football. That makes us a lot better right now, you know? I mean, I'm more than fine paying Taylor Decker $21 million to play football next year, full stop. You know, but let's look at left tackles. Go away. You know, Taylor Decker falls 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. He's the 14th highest paid left tackle in football per AAV. So, like, do you think that Taylor Decker is better than Dion Dawkins, Dan Moore, Colton Miller, Jake Matthews, Bernard Raymond? You know? I do. I mean, I think he's as good as those players. So, I mean, like, paying him less than those guys is a deal as far as I am concerned. You know, but if you are, if you are, let's see, the Chiefs, the Jags, the Browns right now, wouldn't you take? I mean, wouldn't you trade something of value for Taylor Decker? Well, admittedly, I also don't know who most of those guys are. Well, that's fair. I mean, that's fair. If you don't know, you don't know, right? It's not, I look at this shit a lot, and so, and I follow the draft religiously. So, I mean, I recognize a lot of these guys' names for 10 or 15 years because I've been watching the drafts, for 25 years now, longer. But Taylor Decker is a deal if he comes back and has the same season that he just had. As far as left tackle, Taylor Decker is difficult to replace because you can't just go out into free agency and get someone who is as good as Taylor Decker. So, which means you will have to either trade for or draft a replacement. And between those two things, drafting a replacement is cheaper than trading for one, but it is riskier because you don't know if the kid's going to work out, right? So if you trade for one, it's less risky, but more expensive. And if you draft one, it's less expensive, but the risk increases. So which one of those two things are you comfortable with? So I think the big investments that Detroit's going to make this offseason are once again on the offensive line, whether that is left tackle, right guard, center, some combination of those or all of them. And then I think that you really can look at saying we're going to look, Dan Skipper retired. So is that we're confident Giovanni Manu can be up to the level of Dan Skipper? I doubt it. Or like, do you want to take that? I mean, like, I would much rather see the Lions do something like, we're going to cut Giovanni Manu And then in the first and second round, like, we're going to take 2 left tackles. Like, we're going to take Caden Proctor at 17, and we're going to take Carter Smith from Indiana at 50, right? And you say, Carter, you're going to be our third tackle. We're going to cross-train you left and right. You're going to be the guy that when we meet the third tackle in the game, you're coming in, and then you have a backup left tackle if Proctor doesn't work out, if he gets hurt or whatever. Brian, I get the feeling that your posts are coming in unbelievably late. Not a bad trade. Not sure it is a good trade either. Can we get another late pick this year? If this is in reference to the mock draft that we did, you're something like 20 minutes behind what we're doing. So I don't think that I'm answering your questions in real time. I know we all love PFF grades, but he was 41st out of 89 OTs this season, 45th in pass 57. Wasn't a strong year for Taylor Decker. Yeah, it wasn't. But like, let's just Taylor Decker is 32 and was dealing with a bunch of injuries this year. And like, oh God, stop with the ads. My God. Taylor Decker, 46 out of 89 offensive tackles includes left and right tackles, right? So let's just cut that in half. He was the 20th left tackle in the NFL. Okay, so not great, but like, he also has the ability to be like a top 10 guy if he's healthy. And so like, and that is how he is graded out for the majority of his career. Now, if he's going to be hurt, or like this season is now representative of what he's going to be performing at in the future, and you're the Detroit Lions, and you're like, we think this is as well as Taylor Decker can play if everything goes right, then you designate him as a post-June 1 cut and you save $17 million. Or you try and trade him, and you save a little bit money and you get a pick. 2 1s is a nice place to be regardless. Yeah, Brian, I'm getting your post something like 30 minutes later. So sorry if I'm not answering your questions in real time, buddy. We must have a bad connection. Or we take the mini pick and trade out again in a moment. This is hilarious. This is like going back in time. Well, you know what? Let's see. Let's see. So this time, Love's still on the board. Sonny Styles is going to the Caden Proctor's off the board. That's a good pick. So if Proctor's off the board, I'm not sharing my screen, am I? So, okay. So Proctor's off the board, which means that the only left tackle on the board is Caleb Lomu. And I don't know that I really like him any more than I like somebody like Carter Smith, Caleb Tiernan, Isaiah World, Monroe Freeling, that kind of thing. So if we go trade, the Cleveland wants to come up and we would get picked 24 and 70 for 17. That seems like a pretty standard, we want to move up trade. San Francisco says 17, 27, and 58. That's even better, in my opinion. And then Tampa Bay says, we want pick 17 and 155. We'll give you 46 and a 27 first round pick. Now, the 27 first round pick does hold my attention, but Tampa Bay is pretty good. They could easily win their division. And then can they win their division and win a playoff game? Yes. So that to me, it says that the pick is likely to be like the 20th pick next year. Of course, I don't love the board for us right now. So if we said 27 and 58, I like that way better. 307. I don't know. The trade favors Detroit. 300. That must be like in the value of the picks. That's 5 points. This is 13 points. This is less. So I'll do this Niners pick. They wanted Lomu. Oh, they took Messidor. That sucks. Jeremiah Love is still on the board. That's hilarious. We could take TJ Parker. I like Caden McDonald. Like if you want a new DJ Reader, like that's who he is. Was gonna say, yeah. I don't know why it waited so long to pass my styles comment. It was over half an hour ago with the chat. Yeah, well, I was curious too, man. The internet is a strange and mysterious place. I'm just taking a look at tackles here real quickly. Well, they really don't like Carter Smith. All right, let's see what trades were offered now. Okay, so like we could trade down again, and we would pick up a second and a third. We can trade down and get a second, third, and sixth. One point difference, 2 point difference, 2 point difference. So when they're this close, it depends on like, am I getting this? I think Cincinnati's pick is the best one. I just don't like any of these. So if we went I could be talking to TJ Parker here. Ugh. Next time, run the Draft Tech board. I don't like Draft Tech. It's a post Senior Bowl update. All right, we can do that. I might wait until next week to do that, though, because we've been going for 2 hours. Let's just mix it up. I'm going to draft TJ Parker here. So next we pick at 50. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Oh, so let's take a look at Blake Miller. 50 consecutive starts. That's good. Though some evaluations cite areas for growth in consistent run blocking and anchoring against more powerful bull rushers. Let's take this kid from Clemson. And then we pick at 58. Okay. So we've taken an edge and we've taken a tackle. Oh, I'll just do this just because it's nothing. Yeah. So anytime that I'm offered a trade, I will trade down one pick and I get something else. You should just do that. I think I'm going to take this kid, Golday from Cincinnati, 6'4", 240. This is the only thing I care about in the entire evaluation. Is where'd it go? His strengths include high tackle production and versatility in run stopping and pass rushing situations. So maybe this isn't the guy that we want. I don't need a run stopper. I need a cover player. Strengths are his exceptional instincts and discipline against the run, demonstrating reliable tackling and the ability to diagnose plays quickly from an inside linebacker position. Once again, not what I need. This guy's good. Jacoby Lane, I like him. All right, let's look at Malik Muhammad here. 6 foot. He's also demonstrated versatility on special teams and covering a blocked punt for a touchdown. He possesses desirable length, athleticism with twitchy movement skills to play on both inside and out. He will need to improve his tackling consistency and play with more aggressive approach and coverage. Okay, yeah, welcome to Detroit. You're going to pick again at 118. So the thing that I don't like about Detroit's defense right now is if you look at the teams in the last four, like the conference championship games, those teams either have elite pass defenses that allow their linemen to get home, or they have elite pass rushers that cut down the amount of time that their pass defenders need to be out there in routes on coverage. And so like Detroit does neither. Detroit does not have elite coverage ability to allow the pass rush to get home, and their pass rush doesn't get home quick enough to provide relief to their pass defenders. So something has to change on one of those two things, right? And I think the thing that has to change, that is the quickest to be able to be changed, is how quick the pass rush gets home. Let's take a look. This kid was at the Senior Bowl. $293 as a center. I mean, like, I just don't see how you're going to be able to hold up in the NFL at that size. So do I take another tackle here? So this guy looks like a right tackle or a guard. But do you bring him in as like your sixth offensive tackle? Oh, Caden Curry. My God, I'm in love with you. Known for his high motor and violent hands, he has proven effective at both collapsing the pocket and chasing down ball carriers from the backside. While he lacks elite length and some traditional edge rushers, his explosive first step and technical proficiency at the point of attack remain his greatest draft asset. Sorry, welcome to Detroit. So, I mean, like, maybe he's just a bigger version of James Houston. Will Shep change our scheme now that he has a year of DC under his belt? So if you're going to change scheme, you have to change what your players are going to do. Shep played a lot more zone coverage than Aaron Glenn did. So I think that you might see Detroit regress to the mean when it comes to how often they run zone as opposed to man coverage, which might give the pass rush some more time to get home. If that's the case, then I think what you want to do is you still want to get some guys with some juice off the edge to complement Hutch. And then, I mean, in this day and age, how what's his name? The Sam linebacker, Derek Barnes. How Derek Barnes is allowed on the football field in an age of the forward pass is shocking to me. He is a bad pass rusher. And I don't know what he excels at. So I'm kind of out on Derek Barnes. Ultimately, when Brian Branch returns healthy, I would love to see, like, my dream is to see something like if you were able to draft Sonny Styles in round 1 and Zion Young in round 2, and if you trotted out a front 7 that was something like Hutch, McNeil, Williams, Zion Young, and then your second level was Sonny Styles, Jack Campbell, Brian Branch, I would be all up and down happy about that front 7. Listen, Derek Barnes is a converted middle linebacker from what he played in college. And they played him at like off-ball linebacker as a rookie, and then they drafted Campbell, right? And then it was like, no, he's going to be our pass rush linebacker. And like, when was the last time anybody remembers Derek Barnes getting a sack? Here's what I remember about Derek Barnes. Derek Barnes misses a tackle during that infamous Dallas game like 2 years ago that would have resulted in Dak Prescott getting a safety. Instead, it's a 90-something yard touchdown to CeeDee Lamb. And we ended up losing that game in the stupid overtime call. And then last year in the Giants game, they run that trick play to Jameis Winston that ended up being a touchdown, and he can't bring down Jameis Winston. Now, Dak Prescott and Jameis Winston are big quarterbacks, right? Okay, but if you're a designated pass rush linebacker, like, isn't your job to tackle those guys? And he can't do it. And like, tell me what else that Derek Barnes is good at. I mean, like, to me, Derek Barnes is the definition of like the average NFL linebacker. So like, I don't think it was because of scheme, because without some kind of elite trait, what does Derek Barnes do well in any scheme? So matchup, I think that Derek Barnes is I don't know who Derek Barnes matches up well against. Like, does he chase down ball handlers or ball carriers? Does he break up pass plays? Like, I don't see it. Yeah, I'm sure we could trade him to the Jets. I mean, you get like a 6th round, 7th round pick, or like you swap picks and like he's the player in the deal or something like that, but you get nothing for him. You know, and like, but that's the thing, like this group of linebackers are all middle linebackers that have been converted to something else. Like even Anzalone, like Alex Anzalone in New Orleans, I believe played on the inside. Now I think they ran a 3-4 and he was the quote unquote inside will linebacker or whatever. So I don't know how much that differs from what he's asked to do in Detroit. Yeah, and like he did have that really good pick. It was a tipped ball. I wasn't no. They flushed Baker and he was getting hit as he threw, and he threw it like right to Barnes, right? Which is great. He made that pick, right? But like I think that is the exception rather than the rule with Derek Barnes. And like if you ask me for this roster, where I think we can upgrade over players, he's one of them. And like Alex Anzalone is another one. You know, like if you're looking to push the team's ceiling or floor higher, I think you have to look at both linebacker spots, and they re-signed them for $8 million a year. I'm going to take Marlon Klein from Michigan. Sorry, I know it's a bit of a homer pick, but like, he can block and he can catch. And if he's your tight end 3, I think you're fine. Like if Marlon Klein replaces Shane Zylstra or Kenny Yeboah, who didn't play a snap for us, you know, that kind of thing. I think that would be great. Let's do one where we trade up. Let's see. How do I get to a new mock? Restart. All right. I'm going to let this run for 10 picks. Then I'm going to try and trade up. Bane's off the board. Let's see. Tyson's gone. Fano's gone down. Oh, that's okay. So the Browns traded with Kansas City. Kansas City traded up for David Bailey. Gross. Okay. Fun. So let's see. Can we trade up with Dallas? Oh my, they do the pick for us. The Lions receive picks 12, 112, 150, and 1, and they get 17 and 50. Sure. And then now we're going to draft. Good Lord. Come all the way back up here. Sonny Styles. So we don't draft again until 112. Let's see if we can trade back up into the back end of round 2. So let's say pick 60. See if that's possible. Okay. Can we trade with Buffalo? No trades available. Close. Nobody wants our picks. All right. No one likes it. They hate us. No one likes us. So I think this is very clearly not going to be worth it, right? Like trading up 6 spots at that price. Basically, it was like giving up the second round pick. We could get some tight ends. So we pick again 6 picks. Oh, there goes the other guy I wanted. Okay. And we pick at 150. Yeah, so like this is quote unquote. So this would be like, do we want to fill the back end of our roster with like just good depth pieces? So Lander Barton. Let's look at this edge player here. M. Rod could be bounced to Malcolm Rodriguez. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, he's coming off the injury. Like, he's in the last year of his deal. No, I think that he's an unrestricted free agent this year. Let's take this other tight end. Take a pass rusher. Take a right guard. We'll take a safety. This kid, Nadami Tucker, he had a good year for Western. Fuck it. Kate Kolubnik. McAllister. So I'm just trying to take guys near the top of the draft at a bunch of different spots so we're done. Largely to just get a bunch of guys on the roster. So like Sonny Styles, Jack Endries, pass catching tight end, Caden Curry, pass rusher, Joe Royer, pass catching tight end, pass rusher. I don't know that there's that much difference between Armaj Reed Adams and Miles Frazier. Lewis Moore, special teamer / safety depth. Cade Klubnik, what happens with Kyle Allen? He's probably back. Eric McAllister, Mike Washington Jr. Those are just guys to they're either going to play special teams or be depth at their position group. So I mean, like, I just think that you accumulate so much more value by trading down over the course of a draft than you do by trading up. But like, you have to weigh the consequences. Like, is this a truly special player? So like, if Sonny Styles ends up being like a truly special player, then it's worth it. And if not, he's not. So Vikings trade up. Sonny Styles is on the board here. Yeah, so I'll just take Sonny Styles. Hang on. I'm doing this wrong. Restart. Let's see what value we can. So like this time, if I have 2 picks in the same round, I've got to trade one of the picks, unless it's round 2. Mekhi Lemon's on the board. Arizona, wow. We trade pick 17. We get 34, 65, 104, and a 4th rounder in 27. 1, 2, 4. $23 and $68. I definitely want a 1 and a 2. I'm going to take Denver's pick here. Okay, so I can take TJ Parker or Akeem Mesidor here. I'm going to draft Parker because he's just younger than Mesidor. So we're going to take TJ Parker. Oh, shit. I thought for a second Christian Miller was going to fall to me, and I was like, okay, cool. I'll do that. I'm going to take Tiedemann here. He's either going to be a nickel or one of our two safeties. Like I believe in making the defense better. Like I think that the team would be overall better with. I mean, considering how bad the quote unquote offense was this season, like we were still a top 5 offense in like several different metrics. So I don't really know. I mean, is it better to be the 5th offense and the 15th defense, or is it better to be like the 8th offense and like the 12th defense? I mean, an all pro is worth nearly any price. A Hall of Famer even more so. Okay. Yeah, here we go. Boy, I really want to take CJ Daniels. That's pretty good. Barham's on the board. Mikhail Kamara. All right, I think I'm going to take Jolie here. Jude Bowery. Impressive footwork in pass pro and natural ability to move in space during zone blocking. While with athleticism is a major strength, scouts know that he could still benefit from adding functional strength to better handle elite power rushers. So maybe you take this guy and you just let him like get in the weight room. I'll take Jolie here. I'll take Jones. He's light for a center, but I don't know how you get away from it anymore. Gamani Jackson. Wow, look at all the Indiana players. All right, I don't even know who we have picked. TJ Parker, Tiananmen, Isaiah World, Jolly, edge, safety, tackle, tight end, interior offensive line. Draft a corner. He lacks the mass of a traditional nose tackle, his functional strength and high motor review to significant assets for a disruptive interior role. So we'll take that kid. $6'5", 350. Powerful blocker with exceptional raw strength and extensive experience as a multi-year starter. Ability to anchor the pocket and provide physical presence in the run game are defining traits as a pro. Well, okay. Oh, we're back on the board. Look at this. We'll take this safety from USC. I took him a couple drafts ago. And we're back on the board. Let's see. Kevin Coleman. Explosive separation and suddenness out of breaks. Versatility as a punt returner. So this could be a junior Khalif Raymond, depending on what you want to pay Khalif Raymond. And that's our draft. So we took a bunch of guys. We had 11 picks. TJ Parker, Dylan Tiananmen, Isaiah World, Justin Joly, Logan Jones, Domani Jackson, Grayson Halton, Inez Cooper, Bishop Fitzgerald, Kevin Coleman. And I think the Lions, the Lions have 52 guys on their roster right now. You're going to add some amount, like 2 to 5 UDFAs. So let's say that's 57. You do this draft, that's 68, and then you have 24 guys you can still add to balloon your roster up to 90. That's just the kind of thing that I think the Lions should be doing. Is let's if the Lions cannot find 10 guys in this draft that they think can add to their team, I think they've got to reevaluate something. Why is there a question mark next to this? Anyways, 2.5 hours. That's pretty good. So thank you very much, Detroit Fan Man, for this new toy. I'm going to be playing with this quite a bit. Thank you guys for hanging out. If you guys have any questions, please bring them with you the next time, or leave them in the comments of the YouTube channel. I'll be happy to read those and try and get them answered for you. If you guys are on Pride of Detroit in their comment section, I am BTP, Building the Pride _ something or other. Let me see what I am. I am BTP _ Drew in the comment section of Building Pride of Detroit. So if you are over there at all and you see that, that's me. Feel free to jump into the conversation. I'll be happy to talk to you over there. That kind of thing. Senior Bowl's done. We're on to the combine. Should be interesting. We have got Mike Kafka now in the building in Detroit. Well, technically he hasn't been announced, right? So until he's actually announced, he could take an OC job somewhere else. But it's been previewed that he's going to take a job with the Detroit Lions. And if that's the case, then that's another brain inside the building. Really appreciate you guys hanging out, doing the different mock draft theories with me. That's always a lot of fun. I have a good time with that. Hopefully I can convince Mike to stop working so hard and come back to the show here in the near future. I know you guys like Mike. So, and just thanks for hanging out. It's been a bad week for me here. House is my pipes are frozen. I can't take a shower in the house. I've only just got a little bit of running water to 1 or 2 faucets. I've got a huge quote to rip out my pipes and replace them in the middle of winter, which I don't want to pay for, but as a homeowner, you got to do that stuff sometimes. I'm looking to move. So I've been going on visitations with my realtor to see what in the area I can move into. So there's a possibility that in the next couple of months, you might see me in a completely different setup here. So there's that going on. I hope this winter is treating you well, or at least, if not well, not poorly. I understand now why people go to Florida in the winter. Ever since I bought a house, I was like, oh, Florida, gross. I hate Florida. But yeah, he's still sulking over the Rams loss, that bitch. Since he's not here, and I doubt that he watches these shows, and he definitely won't watch 2.5 hours of it. I hate that he likes the Rams. I just hate it. I understand that he likes Matthew Stafford. I just hate that he likes the Rams. I just don't like it. There are other teams in the NFL that I enjoy. But I just hate that he likes them, I guess. I don't know. It just bothers me. So, anyways, good to talk to you guys. Thanks for hanging out. I'm signing off. Hopefully see you here next week. All right. Peace.